First, we will do a grounding meditation to help us arrive, to realize we're right here, right now, all together. So sitting comfortably, adjusting yourself so that you are in a dignified and alert posture. With your feet on the floor. Feeling the hips, sit bones on the cushion or chair. Allowing the shoulders to shift downward with gravity. Perhaps taking 2 or 3 deep breaths. Feeling the air going all the way in. Massaging, enlivening the torso. Going all the way out. And feeling the air on your skin. Maybe taking a moment to appreciate all of the living beings and things around you. If there are other creatures or beings in the house, just sensing that. Sensing houseplants, insects, the hibernating bushes outside, the birds. The web of life, of aliveness that surrounds us. And returning to the body and the breath. To this miracle of consciousness embodied. Fleeting. Ever changing. mysterious, perhaps relaxing the face, the eyes, the mouth, the lips, tongue, jaw. And setting an intention for this session, whatever will serve you, serve your awakening. And when you're ready, in your own time, returning to the group, opening the eyes. So, welcome back. And I'll give you a roadmap of our session. Today, we'll explore one of the 7 factors of awakening, which is called investigation. And it is an energizing quality. Then I will cede the floor to Emily, and she will lead mindful movement. Afterward, excuse me, I'll lead a meditation where we will mindfully investigate what arises. And after that, we'll have some community time for sharing. So, investigation is extremely important to the process of awakening. Sean Oakes calls awakening the maturing of insight into life-changing wisdom. So insight develops and matures into wisdom, which changes our life. And Gil Fronsdale calls it awareness without clinging and aversion. Very simple definition. The Buddha taught us to cultivate these 7 factors, and each is the ground for the next. Each quality begets the next one. Mindfulness, investigation, energy, joy, tranquility, calm, concentration, and equanimity. So we want to recognize them and develop them. But first, we have to realize they're not exotic or foreign. We've all experienced them. They live inside of us now. We're all capable of these qualities. And we can cultivate them and experience them in meditation and in everyday life. The first 4 qualities are called energizing, and the last 3 are calming. So mindfulness is the ground on which, from which, out of which we investigate. And we've studied this, but I'll go over it briefly. It's the moment to moment awareness on purpose without judgment. That's mindfulness. And it's interesting because being present or mindful, we all know this, it's inherently more satisfying than being distracted and spaced out. And in fact, research has quantified this. Researchers have found that when people are distracted, they enjoyed activities, consumptive activities that they normally enjoy, such as eating or gaming or entertainment. They enjoy them less and less than they expected to, so that they therefore want to indulge again more quickly than if they weren't distracted. They want to make up for the pleasure shortfall, which is why eating mindfully is inherently more pleasurable than eating when you're doing work at your computer, paying bills. So with mindfulness as one of the 7 factors, it is aware of what the heart and mind needs. And it can call on whatever quality will restore balance. So it operates as a balancing factor for all of the other 6 qualities. And today we're going to focus on investigation. So it is called investigation of dhammas. And the dhamma is the Pali word for dharma, which means teachings as well as things, experiences. So the dhammas that we investigate are the conditions and thoughts and stimuli, including our reactions to them, that are constantly arising. And the other basis of the word vakaya means to distinguish, to differentiate what's going on in experience. And so investigation is a little bit different and more than mindfulness. With mindfulness, especially when we're meditating, but even in everyday life, we notice what's arising. There's a thought, there's an emotion, a sensation. And we might note in meditation what is happening. We might whisper, oh, that's thought, that's planning. Investigation goes deeper than merely noting. It digs into it, but not in an analytical way. It's not really a thinking mind activity. It's more of a deep listening. And the teachings all emphasize that investigation serves to distinguish between what is wholesome versus unwholesome, or what depletes us spiritually versus what nourishes us. And that way we can know what to devote energy to and what to let go of. As an initial matter, when we're investigating, we want to identify what to investigate, what to pay attention to, because a lot of the things that arise in our awareness aren't important. It's clutter. Santakaro Bhikkhu teaches, when we investigate the Dhammas, it is primarily the investigation of those that are still problematic in our lives, such as fear, doubt, anxiety, resentment, pride, all those things that keep us trapped. Or we investigate the healthy Dhammas, the spiritual qualities and mental states that are wholesome, so that we can strengthen them. So at every step, we're guided by what's wholesome and what's not. And it's the heart that does that, not so much the thinking mind. And equally important to this distinguishing activity is kindness, friendliness toward what we find, because we will find unwholesome states and attitudes and ways of being. Of course we will. That's why we're doing it. If we were awakened, we wouldn't be doing it, or at least it would be a different experience. Our intention is to uncover the things that get us stuck and let them go. So without investigation, we wouldn't be able to do that. So as we sit and embark on investigation, we want the mind to be open and receptive. And it doesn't mean that we're necessarily going to find unwholesome attitudes or mind states. We might notice loving kindness and generosity. And we might ask ourselves how we're paying attention. Are we pushing for a certain outcome? And it's played in meditation and in everyday life. It's played out like this for me. I'm sitting and I'm really trying to focus on my breath. And maybe I notice some tightness in my body. And then there's a distraction. Maybe it's airplane noise. I have a lot of loud airplane noise at times where I live. And so assume that this time it's really distracting me. So I'm fretting. I really need to have a good sit. This is going to ruin it. And if I can step back from that and ask, what is going on here? What is really happening? And if I listen deeply, an answer might arise. And it wouldn't be logic that figures it out or that helps me understand. And it helps to feel in the body, the heart or belly or body as a whole. And acceptance is the basis, not trying to change experience. An underlying deep acceptance of whatever is happening now. And it often comes up that I am striving, efforting. I might be hoping that meditation will give me some relief from some anxiety or challenge in life. And I have noticed in these kinds of situations that as I've been sitting, I've been sort of pouncing on each sensation of breathing because I really want to be absorbed. I really want to have a concentrated sit. I had an agenda, an outcome in mind. And that I might have an insight that that's not wholesome. That outcome, that agenda is sort of agreed for some result, not an acceptance. And it's caused my mind to constrict. It's resulting in dukkha. My striving to get relief from dukkha is causing more dukkha. So in this case, the investigation is working. Gil Fronsdale says, don't look at investigation as an active doing. The Pali word involved comes from the word womb. So it suggests that it's something, investigation results in something emerging from deep within, like wisdom. He says, think of investigation as looking at your suffering by holding it with an open, tender palm. And he goes on to say, don't make it worse by having aversion to yourself. It's unwholesome to have aversion to your unwholesome thoughts and feelings or actions. So in this scenario, I'm sitting there and I'm aware of a sense of striving that's unwholesome. Can I hold it, that suffering, that ouch from the striving, with an open, tender palm? Is it possible to have compassion for the ouch and for the anxiety that animates the striving? And all of that uncovering and tender holding is how investigation moves us toward the wholesome. It will bring insight into clinging. And it can also prompt self-compassion and wisdom. So how we pay attention is critical. I recently had an experience with investigation. I had just finished a long weekend with my sisters, and I had gone back to my home. and they to theirs. And we don't live near each other. And I was in my kitchen alone right after that, and I was doing a chore, putting away the dishes maybe. And we had had a really nice, intimate time, as usual. And so I was back home, and there was this real heaviness and lethargy as I was doing this chore. And it was tinged with self-judgment because I was just too sensitive and too emotional and not engaged in life and, not even mindful. So there was self-judgment and difficult emotions. And I decided to be curious about it, just to be curious and not to change it. So I felt into my body and I noticed the heaviness. It was in my belly, in my heart. And I allowed it to be. And I waited, just abiding with it. And it emerged that it was a sense of loss. It was just loss because I'd had a closeness, with them being together physically. That's how my body and my heart mind responded. And the element of egoic self-judgment was removed by just being curious. And I accepted the experience. It was just sadness and a feeling of loss. I didn't try to correct it in any way. I might have been tempted normally to sort of tell myself, well, you should be grateful for what you had with them, instead of just allowing it to be. And it lightened and it gave the experience was very satisfying, and I felt like it prompted some wisdom. It clarified. And it by letting go of the egoic, self-centered judgment and just looking with curiosity, it lightened me and it energized me. And energy is what arises from investigation. It's the next factor of enlightenment. So Sayadaw U Tanhania, a Theravadan monk in Myanmar, is plagued with or experiences depression. And he recounted a similar experience using investigation. He said previously, with bouts of depression, he had tried to muscle through it. Then he realized, when I did the work with interest, my investigation would bring relief. I was choosing to be proactive to find out about depression. And the main thing was complete acceptance. I saw I was helpless to do anything, so I just let it be there. But I could examine it. Couldn't do anything to it, but I could investigate it and come to know it. He said, with interest and investigation, there's wisdom. Effort alone without wisdom is associated with strained activity because it's usually motivated by greed, aversion, and delusion. But effort with wisdom is a healthy desire to know and understand whatever arises without any preference for the outcome. As soon as we have any vested interest in the results of our investigation, we can no longer see things as they are. Wanting to understand is wisdom, and wanting a result is greed. Wanting to understand is wisdom, and wanting a result is greed. In Buddhism, we don't deny any of our feelings, wholesome or not. So if you find that you want an outcome, that's natural, such as to reduce suffering. And the process of investigation brings wisdom only when we let go of any outcome. When we thoroughly accept the condition that we're investigating. So I've talked a lot about difficult conditions and mind states. And we also want to investigate positive ones, feelings of compassion and loving kindness and generosity. And to do that, we dig into the felt sense of how it is in the body, where it is in the body. And it might just be in the middle of a transaction at a store when you interact with a person and you look into their eyes and you see them as another human being and genuinely feel kindness and empathy. And when you're aware of that, as Rick Hansen says, allow the good to permeate the body. Stay with it. Recognize it, allow it, and feel it. And as I mentioned, investigation leads to energy. I explained, how that happened to me, and it sort of resonates that when you realize and get some insight into where you want to go, what you want to let go of, it heartens us on this path. It encourages us. So that's my share about investigation. And after mindful movement, we'll do a meditation, an investigation meditation.
Thank you so much for those encouraging words about being curious. For those of you who'd like to join me in this mindful movement, just standing up and opening up to the space, being curious, your arms lifting up and allowing them to float down, and just to sense this moment, and then sway, moving my chair away, just swaying from side to side. Allow your gaze to move one way and the other as your weight shifts, noticing any places of tension, and with tenderness, allowing them to open gently with the breath, with this energy. And then opening up wide, expanding your arms, lifting them up, grasping your left wrist in your right hand, and extending over, lifting up towards the right, and then dropping down, softening the right elbow, the right shoulder, noticing the extension from the base of the left hip out, and lifting up, switching wrists, extending over towards the left, lengthening the right side, opening up the right side of your rib cage with an inhale, exhale, softening the left shoulder and elbow, and lifting up again, floating your arms down, rising as if you had beach balls underneath your arms, softly down, rising up, softly down. And now lifting into cactus arms and just turning to one side, back to center, to the other side, back to center. What do you feel? And then dropping your arms down and lifting up, dropping down, lifting up, extending your arms out. Turn that left palm up, turn the right thumb down. Breathing into this pose, relaxing, and switch to the right palm up, the left thumb down. Back to the left. Back to the right, palm up, left thumb down, breathing in. Exhaling, softening your shoulders, dropping your arms down. And now extending your arms out, right wrist on top of the left, clasping your hands and drawing a sideways figure 8, being curious. Allowing this to be part of your consciousness, that this drawing is the symbol of infinity. Come to center, moving the opposite direction. Noticing the upper back, the middle back. Coming to center, drop your arms down, shake them out. Extend your arms up, left wrist on top of the right, clasping your hands. And draw, once again, the symbol of infinity, of possibility. And draw it the other way. Come to center, dropping your arms down, extending the fingers away from the palms of the hands. Soften, and then lifting the hands up, centering with your palms together, dropping your hands down, noticing everyone here with kindness. Then down to the earth, appreciating its abundance, And we'll inhale, whooshing up, palms together above your head, back to your heart. Take a bow. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Emily. That was lovely. So let's settle into the body in a still way after having some enlivening movement. So finding a position that's comfortable, sitting, standing, lying. Feeling the weight of the body. And giving it over to the earth that supports the floor. Giving it over to the earth's force of gravity that keeps us in place, in this place. Feeling the balance, function of the spine. Feeling the sit bones. Touching into the face and shoulders, belly and chest, and allowing release. Aware of the sensations of the breath, of all the places in the body moving with the breath. If the breath doesn't work, then using sounds as your anchor or other sensations of the body. Collecting the mind in stillness for a few moments. When the mind wanders, ushering your attention back to your anchor with kindness. As objects of awareness arise, receiving, receiving experience as it is. Totally receptive, touching into what arises with curiosity. If a condition or thought or motion arises that's compelling, making space for it. Listening to its felt sense. You might ask, How am I paying attention? What is my heart mind's attitude toward this experience? Is there clinging? Is there open receptivity? Is there something else? And can I allow what I find? Is there some aspect of how you're relating that's wholesome? Is there some aspect that's depleting? Can you can you offer some kindness to the suffering caused by unwholesome states? And if not, can you accept that? Just allowing what you find in your heart mind. Are you identifying the unwholesome state as a part of yourself. Do you sense that it is impermanent? As you deeply listen, are you aware of positive and wholesome conditions or thoughts or feelings? Not looking for anything, just being aware of what arises. And if there are positive mind states, can you feel the sense of that in the body? Can you allow it to grow? Is there an honest, sincere intention to reduce suffering and move toward freedom? Can you feel into that intention in the body? allowing what arises without judgment. Can you set an intention to develop what's wholesome and nourishing, and let go of what is depleting? Welcome back.